Not too long ago, we released a list detailing the strangest and scariest Soulsborne enemies. Being, as we've now got a shiny new remake of Demon's Souls, what better time to spotlight the lovable freaks of FromSoftware's classic Frustrate 'em Up? While Bluepoint Games' remake may have ironed out some of Demon's Souls' classic dead-eyed, rubber-faced jankiness that was its own kind of uncanny horror, the crisp audio and flowing animation of the remake has brought with it a whole new level of hideous beauty. Let's look at some of the frightfully upgraded foes and be glad we only have to encounter them within the game and our subsequent nightmares. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and here are the 10 scariest and strangest Demon's Souls enemies. Number 10. Red and EYEKNIGHTS. To those of you unfamiliar with Demon's Souls, this may seem a strange one. After all, a relatively basic knight isn't surprising to find in a medieval-inspired fantasy world, especially among the other horrors on this list. What's more, that glowing neon smiley face doesn't so much say prepare to die as it does have a nice day, but this unassuming design helps to catch you off guard, which is the purpose of the Red and EYEKNIGHTS. The fear triggered by these enemies is definitely one of realization. You notice that you're deep into a new bit of the map with no shortcut in sight, just in time for one of these to appear and ruin your day. You know it's not going to end well. A novice to the Soul games will likely fall to the more common yet still hard-hitting Blue Knights. There are a few of them early in the game, and they'll certainly give you more hassle than the regular enemy classes. Those more experienced with the genre will find their guts ripped out by the Red Eye Knights instead. Once you give it a whack with your sword and notice you've barely made a dent in its health bar, you'll backtrack quicker than a post-election Bolitarian official. There are not many non-boss enemies in games that feel legitimately threatening, but these certainly qualify. In fact, they're likely tougher and trickier than most bosses you've fought elsewhere, and we've still got a whole list to go. Number 9. Giant Depraved One. Horror is at its most effective when you can relate to it. That's why so many horror films are set in homes and star actual people. After all, you likely live in a home and are likely a person. An animated film about a rabbit, for instance, isn't likely to hit you as hard. Oh god! I take that back. Body horror is another way of making the scares hit home, as you probably have a body and would likely not want it to be mangled in all sorts of unpleasant ways. FromSoftware are the masters of body horror, and while the peak of their efforts today is undoubtedly Bloodborne, you can see the roots of their transgressions all the way back in Demon's Souls, specifically in the tormented, miserable Giant Depraved One, now in shiny 4K. By definition, depraved means morally corrupt and or wicked. Pair that description with this face and we have a whole heap of I'd rather not. According to the lore, the Giant Depraved Ones were once human, but they were deformed and twisted by the plague pits of the Valley of Defilement, or Doncaster, as it's better known. Number 8. ADJUDICATOR. The ADJUDICATOR is a giant portly demon who protects the Shrine of Storms against intrepid demon slayers such as yourself. He's not all that great at his job, however. The ADJUDICATOR may be a solid defense in the realms of Demon's Souls lore, but when it comes to keeping demon slayers at bay, he's about as effective as a barricade made of quavers. One area in which he does excel, however, is visual horrendousness. The paunch and sheer verticality of the ADJUDICATOR contribute strongly to its fear factor, but the main talking point is its unsettling mouth. There's something truly unnerving about the ADJUDICATOR's tongue. Why is it so long? What is its purpose? What happened to the rest of its head? Why is there a golden bird sat on top of it? Why has it stabbed itself in the stomach? The unknown is always a scary thing, and the ADJUDICATOR certainly leaves us knowing little. On a lighter note though, he does have a lovely crown. Cute. Number 7. Dirty Colossus. Part accurate description, part seedy porn name, the Dirty Colossus is a horrific sight to behold. I think the game's wiki description says it all, really. The Dirty Colossus is a deformed creature that arose from the compounded filth that accumulated in the Valley of Defilement. It goes on to say, a fat maggot-like growth covered in stitches sprouts from the Dirty Colossus's left shoulder. From the description alone, you already know that this isn't going to be pleasant. A rather hard-hitting late-game boss, the Dirty Colossus has an unfortunate habit of releasing an attack wave of ravenous insects that slowly depletes your health for a set amount of time, a bit like the jailers of Dark Souls 3, except this one is a lot itchier the morning after. It's difficult to say much more about this golem. After all, it's just an amorphous mound of filth, which admittedly speaks for itself. Really though, it's a compounded mass of other things without much identity of its own, making saying anything informative about it a bit difficult, a bit like, well, Godfall, now that I think about it. Number 6. Fool's Idol. Fool's Idol is unlike anything else in the game. For a start, she's one of the few enemies that isn't covered in heavy armor and isn't a festering blob. Though that's why the Fool's Idol is so frightful. How can someone so ordinary looking incite so many demonic creatures to follow her? On the whole, while not especially difficult, Fool's Idol proves to be a clever boss fight. Rather than just staying down after you defeat her, as your usual predictable Souls boss would, she'll repeatedly regenerate to full health after you leave the room. There's something else you have to do to stop this and keep her down for good, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. This isn't a walkthrough, figure that one out for yourself! Or look it up and pretend you worked it out for yourself, that's what I do. The ethereal tone, religious iconography, her angelic presentation, and the way she floats around the room all combine to make Fool's Idol so memorably unnerving. But the most unsettling part of this battle is that she'll mostly just ignore your existence, like you aren't worth the effort, eerily laughing to herself as you dodge roll around the room like Sonic the Hedgehog after half a bottle of absinthe. Number 5. Giant Man Centipede. We've already dabbled with body horror, but let's take a look at a slightly more disturbing variant on that theme, splicing animals with humans. The act of horrifically combining species has been a haunting concept since H.G. Wells experimented with the idea in his 1896 novel The Island of Dr. Moreau. The idea of having one's humanity spliced with a beast is a frightening one. Even worse is confronting it firsthand, and oh my, are you about to be confronted by it. The giant man centipede is an elongated Chilopodon nightmare that looks like a mix of a scorpion and a centipede, but with 4 human faces. Yes! I paid £70 to look at this thing in HD, and yes, you may judge me for it, but not too much, I didn't make it. Found in the Tower of Latria alongside their smaller counterparts and all sorts of other mangled monstrosities, the ungainly giant man centipedes aren't the most difficult thing to fight, but once you've seen those 4 screaming faces up close, it's difficult to avoid contributing a 5th. Number 4. Armor Spider. We talked about the horror of the Armor Spider in our 10 Demon Souls bosses we can't wait to fight list many moons ago. We included it not because it's a good boss fight, it was actually deeply infuriating in the original game, but because our morbid curiosity couldn't wait to see it remade with next-gen graphics. After all, you can't be a Souls fan without at least a hint of masochism. With the Armor Spider, not only do you have to fight a giant arachnid, nature's favourite little home invader, but you have to do it in a confined space while it hurls fire at you and makes spine-tingling squeals. No thank you, I don't want that at all. The Demon Souls remake has done a tremendous job at upping the creep factor of the Armor Spider. The smooth animations and crisp audio have made the creature as monstrous as the rubbery and slightly stilted 2009 original always wanted to be. In a way, it's almost beautiful. Actually, I take that back, still horrible. Number 3. Female Shadowlurker. You hear an ominous eldritch laugh echoing from the darkness, yet there's nobody in sight. What do you do? Either A, bravely soldier on with sword in hand, or B, hightail it out of there at Olympic qualifying speed. If you answered A, of course, it's just a game, it can't hurt me, well, fair enough, I am being a bit melodramatic, but the female Shadowlurker can still be quite the jump scare. Likely only characterized as female for the fact it emits a higher-pitched giggle, the female Shadowlurker differs from its apparently male counterparts in a couple of ways. While both are silhouetted, ghostly beings that, and this may be a surprise considering the name, lurk in the shadows, the male is just a fairly standard enemy with basic attacks. The female, on the other hand, is completely invisible apart from when it's attacking, and the uncanny laugh is the only way you know it's around. It doesn't help either that it waits until you're in enclosed spaces to perform a sneak attack, sealing off the exit. It is, in essence, a living jump scare. That's not the most impressive title you could have on your CV, but it would certainly help you stand out. Or be invisible, I don't know. It's horrible, basically. Number 2. MINDFLAYER. While the name may be synonymous with Dungeons & Dragons or Stranger Things more recently, when we video game aficionados hear MINDFLAYER, we think of these creepy prison guards from the Tower of Latria. Strangely reminiscent of the Winter Lanterns of Bloodborne, only, reminiscent ahead of time, the precursor if you will. You know a MINDFLAYER is close due to the sound of an ethereal chime. While a sound like that would be nice if you heard it during a Christmas market in York City Centre, when you hear it in a dungeon that's full of the dead and dying, it makes things a bit more ominous. A bit like how a child's laughter is endearing when your son is watching SpongeBob at midday, but unnerving at 2 a.m. in a cemetery, and also you don't have a son, do you? Combine all of this with a face like Cthulhu's prom date, and you've got a creature that just about makes the top of our list. What could possibly outdo it? Oh, mercy, just you wait. Number 1. Plague Baby. And the award for most horrific sounding name ever conceived by a human goes to Plague Baby! Congratulations, and please don't come near me or my family ever again. No, stay away, stay away! Well, that just says it all, really, doesn't it? Plague Baby. A baby and the plague. I'm not sure how that works. Is it made of plague? Is plague a physical thing? Do I really want to know the answers to any of these questions? If the name itself wasn't enough to warrant a number 1 spot in this list, a description would do it. Plague babies live in the Valley of Defilement in a literal plague pit. They are covered in a gooey red something and will rise out of the plaguey depths whenever you step in the plaguey water, clawing at your ankles as a horde of them surround you. They really are just the worst. The plague babies may just be the most repulsive thing FromSoft has ever created, though that does lead to a question: can they outdo themselves in the upcoming Elden Ring?
I doubt you could even imagine it.
Congratulations, Plague Baby. I knew you could do it. Hooray. Thankfully, that's our list. What Demon Souls beasties have unsettled you the most? Let me know in the comments below. It helps me to battle the nightmares. You can follow myself and TripleJump on Twitter here, and while you're at it, why not support the things you enjoy by having a look at our Patreon. Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and thanks for watching.